Hey there, listener name. Thanks for joining me on today's deep dive. I hear you're quite the little scientist, huh? That's awesome. Well, today we're going to dive deep into the world of computers. And you know what? I think you're really going to like this one.
It's great to be here. Computers are amazing, right? I mean, think of all the things they can do. And, especially in science, they're like our helpers in discovering amazing things.
Exactly. Speaking of building and discovering, listener name. I bet you love building incredible things with your toys, don't you? Like a super tall castle or a spaceship that zooms through the galaxy. It takes real skill to put all those pieces together.
It's kind of like how people figured things out a long time ago. Even way back then, people were solving problems and inventing cool stuff. They used tools to help them, like the abacus.
The abacus, what's that?
Oh, it was this ancient counting tool. Imagine like rows of beads that slide back and forth. People used it to count and calculate, kind of like how you use your building blocks to create something awesome.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So I got to wonder, when did people start thinking about machines doing these tasks for us, like making those calculations automatically?
That's where things get really interesting. That's when the idea of machines that think was born.
Machines that think. You mean like robots?
Well, not exactly robots like in the movies, but the idea was similar, machines that could follow instructions and do calculations much faster and better than any human. And that's how computers came to be.
So computers are like super advanced calculating machines.
Exactly. A computer is a machine that follows instructions to solve problems and complete tasks.
That sounds pretty complicated.
Maybe, but think of it like a recipe. You have ingredients, those are like the data.
Okay, I get it.
Then you have the steps in the recipe, those are like the instructions for the computer. And the finished dish, well, that's the result the computer gives us.
So the computer needs information and instructions to work, just like a chef needs ingredients and a recipe.
That's a great way to put it. You're a natural at this.
And does a computer have different parts, like a kitchen has different tools?
Absolutely. It's like a whole tiny world inside there.
Ooh, tiny world. Tell me more.
Okay, imagine we shrink down really, really small and step inside a computer. The first thing we'd see is the CPU.
CPU. What's that stand for?
It stands for Central Processing Unit, and it's basically the brain of the computer.
The brain. So it does the thinking.
That's right, it follows instructions and makes decisions.
But does it think like we do?
Well, not exactly like us. The CPU follows something called algorithms.
Algorithms. What are those?
They're like special sets of steps, like a super detailed recipe. They tell the CPU exactly what to do with the information it receives.
Algorithms. Sounds complicated.
It's a bit like a secret code that makes the computer work.
So what else is in this tiny world?
Well, right next to the CPU, we'd find the computer's memory.
Memory, like how we remember things.
Kind of. It's called RAM, which stands for Random Access Memory. Think of it like a workbench where the CPU keeps all the information it's using right now.
Oh, I see, like a temporary workspace.
Exactly. It's where the computer keeps things it needs to access quickly.
So what happens to the stuff in the RAM when the computer's turned off?
That's a great question. When the computer is off, the information in RAM disappears. It's like it forgets.
Wow, so it's important to save our work somewhere else, right?
You got it. And that's where the hard drive comes in.
The hard drive, that's where we store things for later, even when the computer's off.
Precisely.
So it's like a giant filing cabinet for all our important stuff.
You could say that. The hard drive is like the computer's long-term memory.
It remembers everything, even when we're not using it.
That's the beauty of it.
So we've got the CPU, the brain, RAM, the temporary workspace.
Yeah.
And the hard drive, the long-term memory.
You got it. Now you're talking like a computer expert. All these parts work together to make the computer do all those amazing things.
Speaking of amazing things, what exactly can computers do with all this power?
Oh, the possibilities are endless, especially in science. Computers are like our partners in discovery.
I bet they can do some pretty cool things in science, right?
You have no idea. For instance, scientists use powerful computers to simulate experiments.
Simulate experiments. What does that mean?
It means they can recreate real-world situations inside the computer. Like, imagine a scientist wants to study how a new medicine might work. They can use a computer to simulate how that medicine would interact with the human body without having to actually give it to someone.
Wow.
It's like a virtual laboratory.
That's super cool.
Yeah, and that's just one example. They also analyze data to find hidden patterns, things we might not even notice without computers.
Like secret clues.
Exactly. It's like having a super detective on the case. And get this, they even use computers to control telescopes that can see far into space.
Wow, so computers are helping us explore space.
Yeah.
A&D, create new medicines.
Pretty amazing, right?
That's like having superpowers. And you mentioned earlier that we can use computers to talk to people far away.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the things I love most about them.
It's like having a window to the whole world right on our desks.
Exactly. We can connect with friends and family no matter how far apart we are, and we can learn from experts all over the world.
It's like having a global classroom.
You got it.
But how do we actually tell computers what to do? I mean, they can't read our minds, can they?
Huh. Not yet, at least. But that's where code comes in.
Code. Is that like a secret language?
It kind of is. It's a special language that humans use to talk to computers. It's like writing instructions in a way that computers can understand.
So if we learn to code, we can tell computers exactly what we want them to do.
You got it. You could create a game, build a website, or even design a robot.
A robot. That would be awesome.
See, the possibilities are endless.
It sounds like learning to code is something a future scientist like you definitely want to do.
I think so too.
Well, listener name, I think it's time for a little pop quiz.
Ooh, a quiz. I love quizzes.
Let's see how much you've learned about computers today.
Sounds fun. Let's do it.
Okay, first question. What part of the computer acts like its brain, making all the important decisions?
Is it A, the hard drive, B, the CPU, or C, RAM?
Take your time and think carefully. What do you think it is? Listener name. Okay, next question.
What do we call the set of instructions that tells a computer what to do? Is it A, a recipe, B, code, or C, data?
This one's tricky, but I think you can figure it out. All right, last question.
Where does a computer store information for later use? A, in its memory, B, in its storage, or C, in its brain?
You're doing great, listener name. Just one more to go. Fantastic job today. You've been an amazing deep diver. You've learned so much about computers, from their incredible parts to all the amazing things they can do.
It's been a blast exploring the world of computers with you today. You've learned about algorithms, the CPU, RAM, and how computers are helping scientists make groundbreaking discoveries.
And remember, this is just the beginning of your computer science journey.
Keep asking questions, keep exploring, and who knows, maybe one day you'll be designing those robots or writing the code for incredible new technologies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And learning to code can open up a whole universe of possibilities.
Yeah.
So, listener name, what will you create with the power of computers?
That's the exciting part. The future is yours to create.
Until next time, happy exploring.
Bye, listener name.